and trade different types of trade goods with buffalo robe. When they came up to this area, they liked to use little two-wheel wagons like that one sitting over there, because you could go about anywhere you wanted to with that. A big heavy wagon, a lot of times you could get it caught in a draw or in the stream or going up a side hill with a lot of buffalo trails in it. So it was a lot easier to use a little wagon like that. A little wagon like that with one animal can haul about 700 to 800 pounds. A big, strong animal can usually pull his own weight if it's on wheels. So if your cow weighs 1,000 pounds or your oxen, you can usually pull around 1,000 pounds on the wheel. So if you look at a bigger wagon, you know, you need 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 oxen depending on how big the wagon is. So a wagon like that with one animal, we can haul 700, 800 pounds real easily. So the traders would come up into this area, find an Indian camp, go into the Indian camp, and get out their trade goods. And what you see on the blanket here, a lot of it is trade goods. We have the beads, we have metal tools, we have firearms, we have gunpowder, we have a lot of brass pots and tin plates and things like that that the Indians would trade for. And the way they would purchase those things, they would trade beaver skins, buffalo hides, deer hides, and that type of thing for these goods. In fact, this is a deer skin, been tanned, and then also some of these moccasins like this, the women would make these types of things and trade to the traders for things that they wanted, like more beads, more needles, thread, pots and pans, and that type of thing. If we throw that, here it is. The Indians that lived in this area, before we came along, were using stone tools. This is a stone knife. It's not a knife that it looks like. People living in an Indian camp in the 1920s. Made out of stone. It's not terribly hard to make if you can find a good piece of stone. You can sharpen it to where it's really sharp, and you can shave with it. You can cut hides. You can clean things, but it's not very durable. If you drop it, it would break. If you stuck it into an animal and twisted it, it would break. And so, while it was sharp and useful, it wasn't near as handy as a big steel butcher knife. So, they immediately decided they needed things like steel butcher knives and kettles. You know what the Indian women used for kettles, how they could cook? If you didn't have a pot or a kettle and you wanted to make stew or soup, what would you use?
A bucket, steel pot,
What we would use is a buffalo stomach.
I sell a lot of tobacco.
Once you kill the buffalo and you start to butcher it out, you would cut out the stomach, and that would give you a nice bag, about like yay, made out of skin. They would turn the thing inside out, clean off all the hay and all that type of stuff that the buffalo would have had in her stomach, grass and leaves and all that type of stuff. Clean that out, and then you would fill it with water and put your chunks of meat in there and whatever else you wanted to put in there, and you would cook it in there. But you wouldn't be able to just hang that stomach over a fire, could you? You know what would happen if you'd stick your arm in the fire, it'd burn. Well, same thing with that stomach. So you got any ideas how we could make the water in that stomach hot?
smoke it.
Yeah, you could put it fairly close and let it, but it was taking an awful long time to get it hot enough. And the way the women did it is they would take stones like this and build a nice big campfire.
Okay, will you take it back?
When it burned down here, had a lot of good coals, and then you would lay rocks about this size onto the coals. When the rocks got hot, you'd pick them up with a couple of sticks and drop them into that stomach.
Alcohol, tobacco, they were pretty
You put enough hot rocks in there, pretty soon your water's going to boil. Pretty soon you got your soup cooked. Now sometimes if you're not careful and your water's real cold, you pick up a rock like this and throw it in there and the rock will explode or break.
See my sign?
And then you kind of got to watch your teeth because there's going to be gravel in your soup. But for the most part, these rocks, you know, she can use them over and over, dish them out, heat them, put them back in. She's got her soup cooked. Now the Indians did not eat on a schedule like we do. You know, we eat breakfast and then we eat dinner and then we eat supper. Indians ate whenever they were hungry. So Mom would have this stew cooking all day long, and whenever you got hungry, you'd go in and eat some of it. One of the joys about cooking in the buffalo hide stomach is that when you got all done, you scraped out the bottom, you'd ate every last bit. Nobody has to wash dishes because you simply eat that stomach then and clean it up. You didn't have to do anything like washing it or taking care of it. But when the women saw things like these brass pots here where they could cook anytime they wanted, they didn't have to have a fresh buffalo kill. They could move them from camp to camp and they were still there. They wanted those types of things. So they would trade the buffalo hides for these steel tools. Also for the beads and the string and that type of thing. The women are doing all the work, but a lot of times the guys get stuff too from that. And things like this tomahawk made out of iron and the guns, the gunpowder the guys wanted to use. So Mom had all the money, so she was buying things for Dad. These are pipe hawks. You can put tobacco in this end, and the stem is hollow, and you can light it and smoke that way. This is something that were usually given to the Indians. They didn't have to buy. This is a friendship medal. If you look on this side, you can see we've got a pipe and a tomahawk and some hands shaking. That's, everybody's happy we're shaking hands, being funny. On this side we usually have a president. This is Martin Van Buren. These were just given to like chiefs and important Indian people, and they would drill a hole in it and wear it as a medallion. So all kinds of different trade goods that the people were trading for. These trade goods then would be loaded back onto the carts, taken to Lahada, Bent's Fort, and collected there. And come spring, they would put them in a press and make bundles out of them, put them on big wagons, and ship them back and forth, ship them to Kansas City, and then bring other things back home. Yeah.
Do you know what caliber the rifles are?
Yeah. This one, right here, is a percussion firearm that fires when you put a percussion cap on right here. This is a 50 caliber gun. This is a trade rifle made especially for trade to Indians or mountain men, that type of guy. Anybody out on the frontier there is fairly cheap, dependable rifle. This one, and a 50 caliber means it's a ½ inch across the bore there, ½ inch hole. Okay. This one is a flintlock, and the way it works is this flint on here strikes this piece of steel, throws a spark into the air. You pour a little bit of gunpowder right in this little tray here. When that hits, it makes a little spark, flips open, the fire goes through a little hole in the barrel, lights the gunpowder you put in here, and it'll shoot it out the end. This one is 20 gauge or 62 caliber, smooth bore, makes it a shotgun. Indians like to use these, they're easy to load. You're not shooting too far. If you're hunting buffalo with them, you get on your pony and you just simply ride right up to the buffalo, stick it down there and fire it into the bucket. This other flintlock rifle is another 62 caliber, big heavy gun. It's real handy to shoot buffalo or bear or whatever. By the time the railroad got here, 1868, this was the type of rifle that most everybody carried. This shot more than once. These are just single shots. You have to load them down through the barrel. This one you can move the lever and load it. It's a 44 caliber, less than a half inch, and you could put, depending on the length of the barrel and the tube here that carries your extra bullet, you could carry anywhere from 9 to 10 to 15. Okay, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.